All right, everybody, this is make it or break it time. You've started your seeds, you've grown them, you've taken care of them, you've enjoyed them in your house. I know y'all enjoy having seeds in your house. It's beautiful. It's great having something green in your house over winter. But now it's time to move them outside, and we need to get them right. So this is the time in which you can either have an amazing seed starting adventure and have your seedlings take off, or you're going to absolutely kill them within the matter of 2 days. And I don't want you guys to be raising seeds for 2-3 weeks and then, or 3 weeks, like 2 months, and then just destroy them right away. So this is about hardening off, and this is how I harden them off. So I'm bringing you to my back porch, and for a very good reason. This is in the spring, like getting ready for the last frost. This is where we harden off all of our seedlings right here, and it's very, very specific to here. And that's because I know how the sun hits, and I know how to work everything out. Each year, or every year, we watch the sun, and we know how the sun goes across our property. And to kind of give you an idea, it raises in this back corner behind my head, comes up, around, and then comes around my house. And this is really, really important for this, because when you harden off seedlings, you've got to be very, very careful. What I mean about being very careful is you got to understand something. You've got your grow light, and it acts as the sun, but it is not the sun, okay? Your grow light will not give you sunburn, okay? You can sit outside, and even in the wintertime, you can get sunburn. It's a lot harder, which makes it easier. And throughout this video, I will show you the different methods and the different places that I use at different times of year to harden off seedlings. But you don't want to sunburn your plants, because at this point, when you take them out of their nice cozy home inside and you bring them outside and you start exposing them to the elements, you're doing a couple things. One, you're exposing them to harsh light. There's no way around it. It's harsh light. Two, extreme temperatures. Look, your house is somewhere between, the average is like 64 to 78 degrees, okay? My house, I keep it cool. It's 62 degrees, sometimes a little bit warmer, but generally like that in the wintertime. So then when you take it outside, you're now gonna get these huge fluctuations. It could be 40 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 10 degrees. You don't get that in your house. So you've got to understand that you've got to get these plants used to it. So we're going to take them outside, and I take 7 days to fully harden off my seedlings before I will put them in the ground. Some people say you can do it in 3. Some people say you can do it in 5. I take 7 days, because I've had this happen where I have just smoked all of my grow time, and basically had bought the seeds, had to throw out everything I did, and then went and bought transplants, and you know, it's just a nightmare. So I take them the first day, and today is a perfect day. It's cloudy out. It's absolutely cloudy. So truth be told, the seedlings that I'm going to be showing you in a minute, I started hardening off yesterday. It gets dark here about 5:30 right now. I put them outside at 3:30, knowing that from 3:30 to 4:30, it was going to get a little bit of sunlight, and then it was just like the average glow, the temperature drop, a little bit of wind pushing them, and then I brought them back inside, okay? Now, the first seeds of the year are very hard, because it's a lot colder, and you've got to be careful with the temperatures. So you don't want to take them outside. Even though cabbage will survive below freezing temperatures, if you take it outside and it gets below freezing on the first day, they're dead. They're gone. They've got to get used to it, you know? Imagine that first cold fall day after a nice warm summer. How do you feel? A lot different than you do right now. If you got those same temperatures, you'd be burning up. Imagine, you know, that first day when it's like 80 degrees, but the day before is like 60. That's a miserable day, isn't it? Yeah, you got to get used to it, especially if you're out there and you're working and stuff. Like, it's just terrible. Excuse my oyster bucket. We were out collecting oysters the other day, but I usually start, and I do it all in sequence. So I'll bring a tray out and I put them right here, full shade all day. And then the next day, I'll move it right here. It gets like an hour of sun. And then, since this is a couch that I built, and we remove all of the cushions, and I don't put it back on until after I'm done. But then I start moving my trays down, just like this. And once I get from, I can go from here on day 3 to here on day 4. Day 5, I go right here. And then day 6 to 7, I'll come all the way over here. And this is where all of the sunlight is for the majority of the day, right around our last frost. You can see that makes a big difference. Now, that's then. Right now, this porch gets no sun whatsoever. It stays completely dark, completely shaded all day, so this doesn't work. So I've got a tool that I picked up off the side of the road, if you know what I'm saying. Look, if y'all be picking stuff up off the side of the road, let me know in the comments the last thing you got, because I'll be getting some gold, man. People throw away some good stuff. And this one's totally stupid, but I grabbed it and I'm glad I did. So this one right here, this is the money maker. This is like an old luggage rack that somebody put out. And I did leave it out this year, so it's probably about shot, but it works so well that I will continue. I will probably build one myself this year. It's a little bit more sturdy with more storage on it for this hardening off process. But we'll put our seedlings on here and put them in our front yard, and then I can wheel them in and out of the garage and completely control the daylight 100%. And I'm not taking them from the bright sun and then putting them under my grow lights. Once I make the decision to harden them off, that's it. No more grow lights for them. Because your plants will survive multiple days with no light, but they will not survive a quick shock to a full day of sun. Remember that. Welcome to the Maiden K2. And this is what I'm using right now until I get that luggage rack out here, but you can see my garage is here. And then I've got my seedlings out here. So these are my onions, these are my cabbages. And today, because it's cloudy, I went from 1 hour of sunlight yesterday to 3 hours in the cloud, but normally I would do 2 to 3 hours in the sun today for these. And when I get that luggage rack out here, I'll just be putting it right here and then wheeling in and shutting the door completely. So you can see that we have complete control over this. And because we only have 3 trays, it's not a big deal. As we get closer to spring, we'll have like 50 out here, and it's going to be a real nightmare. But you can see everything's doing good. Nothing's showing too terrible sign of damage or stress at this point. So now ask me the important question. I know what it is, and you feel free to comment it, but while you're writing it, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the answer to it is, when do you leave them outside all night? And honestly, it's all about temperature. So the first night, I do not leave them out. Last night was the first night, and it was 35, 34 degrees, and I knew it was gonna be that cold, so I did not leave them out. Now tonight, however, it's gonna be 44 degrees as a low, so I will be leaving them out all night long, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Now there's a caveat to that too, because this is a tough time of year for all this. Now the tough thing is, it's the weather. So right now we have an inbound storm, another one, and it's gonna get pretty nasty. So I'm not gonna leave them out in that. That's just a death wish waiting to happen. Even though, if you've watched the other videos, we've had fans blowing on them, we've strengthened the stalks, we've increased the rate in which the cells can move and flex with the wind. You still don't want to put them out in high winds or heavy rains, but you do want to keep them watered, you do want to keep them happy, and do not fertilize them whatsoever when they're out here. Even though I put that other fertilizer in there, I just leave it. It's not a big deal, but I do not add anything extra to it. And you want to start cutting back on the water as well. We want it to starve a little bit the last couple days. This is what I do now. I want it to starve for water a little bit, so when I put it in the ground, it's ready to prime and put its roots down. And that's just kind of the thought process I have. It's the same principle as with bonsai and stuff like that. We want them to spread the roots out, and so we hold back some water. Now don't hold it back until limping, but you want to get them out. Get them a little bit hungry. Then when we put them in the ground, you want to protect them. So a lot of people will say, go out there, put a pot on it, like, let's say I just planted this onion right here. You want to protect the onion, right? So a lot of people will say to do that. And those holes on top will give it a little bit and it'll protect it from the wind. If you did it right, you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do none of that if you did it right, because we've already raised it to get used to the wind. We've hardened it off so it can get used to the sun. put it in the ground and let it ride. Now don't put it in the ground early in the morning. Don't do that. Put it in the ground in the evening so that it can ride through the night and get that nice early sunrise and gradual increase of sun all day, and you're good to go. But all these extra steps that some people take, I just don't get it. It's just not necessary. But it may make you feel good. But if I'm going to put, I put 96 onions in this bed. You think I had 96 pots to put on top? No. Onions right here have been hardened off for a while. Go ahead and put them in the ground. Roll with it. They're going to be strong. They're ready to go. You ain't got to do nothing to protect them. So they'll be nice and happy. And until I sell my plants, this is where I will leave them, right here, where they'll get all day sun, they'll warm up and all that stuff. So this whole bench will end up as much as I can. I'll move my trees over and just have these plants lined up. Leads me to tell you guys this: if you're in southeast coastal North Carolina right now and you want some onion plants or some cabbages, let me know. I got you covered. So, I mean, we try and be fair priced and get you as much as you can. I sell them by 6-packs. So, it is what it is. It makes it easier. And when we get them hardened off, we're done with them. And I know somebody's going to ask, do I put them in the greenhouse or do I need to put them in the greenhouse while they're hardening off? No, you don't need to put them in the greenhouse, because if I need to put them in the greenhouse, then I've done something wrong. Because what good is that going to do me if I don't have any room to put it in the greenhouse to plant it? And I need to plant it out here. Or if I'm going to sell it to somebody, they don't have a greenhouse. So what good is that going to do for me to do anything with the greenhouse? Now, if it's something for myself and I need to make space, sure, I can use the greenhouse. But you know what? It's just not worth it, man. It's just not, I just don't see the point. The greenhouse, so you're going to see soon, there's going to be seed trays in here, but these are for flowers that are stratifying. They're not for regular seeds. Sometimes I'll start seeds and seed trays in here and grow them fully in here. I've done that before. But for the most part, I don't do that. There's not a lot of people that have greenhouses, and I can prove it to you because a lot of the videos I do about the greenhouse, there's so few people that have greenhouses. They want greenhouses, they're interested in it, but they don't have them and they don't use them. So, and I don't know anybody with a greenhouse of any style. Now, that being said, this is basically a cold frame. Remember that. But it still raises you by a zone, which is important in this conversation because that goes up in a low temperature, so it won't get as cold. So there is that. But this is the point in which you will ruin all of your hard work if you don't do this right. Be slow, take your time, watch the weather, keep it, try and keep it below freezing, especially these cold crops, for a little while, as long as possible. Protect them. Laying a towel over them will help with that. Pushing them up against your house at night. But when they go outside, they need to stay outside, okay? Just rip the Band-Aid off and roll with it. So this is how you're going to do it. This is how I do it. Not how you're going to do it, but this is how I do it. And I've been pretty successful, so I hope you guys can find it in the right way. And last thing is temperatures, 50 to 40s in the highs and 30s in the lows is a perfect time. And then if you're looking at a 10-day forecast, 6th, 7th day, it's going to get below freezing, like 30, 29 maybe, a little bit of cover, you're going to be good. And then you just grow them like normal.